I wanted to kick off kind of our e-commerce essentials track with just a few quick slides, just to kind of get your mind starting to think a little bit about what we'll talk about this afternoon, and do a very quick two-slide intro on who we are at 41st Parameter and what we do. I wanted to start very quickly by looking at actually the themes of the eTail conference I pulled directly off the website. It starts with look inside your business, solve the customer problem. And it continues on to say the ultimate goal is to be smarter about your business, understand the customer's needs, and exceed them, right? So all of the topics we actually have this afternoon in the e-commerce essentials track are focused on exactly those things. So we're going to talk about things that will help discuss ingraining a customer focus throughout your retail enterprise. That's I think actually the first presentation we have immediately following mine is about that topic. And we also have many other topics, one of which is around optimizing your business for growth, right? So we'll have those sessions later this afternoon. I just want to talk about a couple things around e-commerce, and this is from kind of my perspective of, not living e-commerce on a daily basis, but certainly supporting the industry and kind of working with various folks in the space, is that I think we can all agree that not everything is better friction-free, but in the world of e-commerce, the more friction-free we can make the experience for the consumer, the better it is for all of the rest of us, right? Presumably less work, operational expense for many of us, better customer satisfaction, more orders, faster orders, larger orders, all of those things can come along with potentially a friction-free experience for the consumer. We know that's kind of what we aspire for and what we hope for e-commerce to be for consumers. But we also know that the reality is that e-commerce has brought about a good number of hurdles in the space, right? So everything from consumer privacy to managing globalization to managing experiences across multiple device types. I know Facebook earlier talked about the notion of compression. You have to be able to give consumers a choice on a mobile device of maybe 10, 20, 100 different products, when in the store they might be able to see 1,000 or a couple thousand very quickly and easily. So things like that, pricing, customer authentication, outsourcing, fraud, no doubt about. But all of these things are kind of some of the friction that have been introduced in the conversion process for consumers as they start interacting, going through this channel. The digital the era of digital shopping has brought about the notion of anonymity against consumers, right? So we used to see consumers as people when they come into our store and show us a driver license or give us an account number or give us their name and address. Now we see them as devices that hit our storefront, right? They are an iPhone, they're an Android device, they're an iPad, they're their desktop computer, and they still may have an account, an email address, a phone number, credit card number, whatever it might be. But we see them as a device first, followed by the information they provide to us, right? And this level of anonymity that consumers have now, which is one layer removed from their previous experience with brick and mortar stores, has introduced various complexities for consumers throughout the process. And this anonymity in many cases can lead to mistakes, innocent mistakes, by retailers, by merchants, by customer service reps, whoever it might be, during the e-commerce process, right? And so really, the key thing we want to talk about is how can we identify and resolve or mitigate as many of the kind of friction, the friction-causing pieces of the e-commerce purchase cycle, and reduce that to promote e-commerce across all of our clients. The other thing that we all know is that an upset customer is an upset customer, whether it happens during the purchase process, the fulfillment process, the returns process, whatever it is, an upset customer is not a fun place to be. And especially in this age of in the digital world, they now have more power than ever to get their word out and impact the rest of your customer base, right? Whether it's through a review or through Twitter or through other sources, they're very, very much empowered to vocalize their concerns with your brand and your storefront. So I think we can all agree that we don't want upset customers, first of all, and so anything we can do to reduce the number of upset customers or the number of customers who've had a bad experience will help us all in the long run. And then lastly, exactly the opposite. Again, I'm not saying anything novel here, but the key notion is that the more happy customers we have, the better our businesses are going to be, right? More revenues, more sales, larger orders, loyal customers, all of these things lead to better, which are derived from better online experiences, lead to better businesses for all of us in the room. And then lastly, just kind of quickly, actually 3 slides on 41st parameter and what we do before we kind of get into our first presentation. 41st parameter is dedicated to providing insights to help better serve and protect the digital consumer at every online interaction. Within 41st parameter, we've actually got 3 product lines. 41st parameter there on your left, which has a product called FraudNet, which is around security and authentication, helping e-commerce retailers avoid things like account takeovers or transaction fraud or whatever it might be. We've got an ad truth division in the middle, which is around providing marketing capabilities in the world of digital media in a consumer privacy safe way while respecting consumer choice. And then finally, we've got Trustinsight, which is our latest kind of product line, which is all about data and analytics. And I'll talk about in the next slide kind of what it covers. Before I talk about Trustinsight, I want to just kind of highlight that across our 3 different products, we've got customers in many very large verticals, right? We've got major financial institutions who are using us either for fraud or for digital media. We've got major travel customers who are, again, using us for the same reasons. Very, very large e-commerce players who are also our customers in that space. And then finally, in the digital media front, we've got some of the largest digital media companies in the world who are using us to help them throughout their digital interactions with their consumers. And then last slide before we kind of continue on. Trustinsight really prevents online merchants from turning down legitimate purchases. That's purely what the product is all about. We want to remove the friction of, slow approvals, rejected orders, as best we can for the consumers that are trustworthy and that are authentic, right? So it's all about recognizing consumers, their digital entities within the network of all of the e-commerce players who are working in our solution, assessing if they're trustworthy or not. Are they an entity between their phone and their, say, email address, an entity that's been seen multiple times across various storefronts over a long period of time without any negative feedback. And finally, if you can say yes more often, if you get more transactions that go through your system that come back with a yes authorization rather than a no or a suspected fraud, it increases revenues for everyone in the picture, right? Obviously, the e-tailer is going to increase their orders without changing their marketing spend, as well as the credit networks, the financial institutions, everyone in that authorization process is going to have more positive transactions going through their system and less operational costs. So that's all I wanted to kind of kick it off with. We've got some great sessions coming up. We've got about 1, 2, 3 sessions, followed by a break and another 3 sessions, and then a panel to kind of top it all off. So I know it's going to be a relatively long afternoon, but there's some great content, and we've got some great speakers ahead of us. So with that, if there's any questions, I'm happy to help. Otherwise, I think we can get right into it.